We're gonna do a review on SHFiguarts Full Power Super Saiyan Broly. Okay, taking the figure plastic out of the box, we can see that it comes with 2 sets of hands, 2 faces, and the figure itself. Little known, if you never had owned or have no idea how to swap the hands and faces with an SHFiguarts figure, they do come with a little instruction booklet that is hidden in the box behind the little color. Like with the Broly, it was the purple, it was hidden behind that little piece of cardstock. This is not a thing with newer figures like Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, where it's on the little flap that you can open it from. But this is a thing with older figures from like 2022 and further on. Or at least I'm not sure about the 1.0, but I wouldn't recommend getting 1.0 figures since those usually have a lot of posability issues and problems. As we can see, it tells you that you can take off the bangs or the hairpiece and the face to swap them out. And now the hands can just pop off. But with this figure, since it has a unique skirt piece covering the legs, it does tell you that the back part can move up, giving you more articulation. What it also comes with is a little card where it's basically just like a company card is the simplest way to say it. Like it's promotion, like wow, great articulation, you can recreate scene, additional effects or parts like Goku's Kamehameha effect piece. And it does tell you that sometimes you can get exclusive figures on Premium Bandai, like Cooler, Raditz. These are not in stock anymore, by the way, before you go on the site trying to buy them. They are limited run, like it says on the back on the card. And yeah, so let's take a even greater, closer look at the figure. As we can see, it has quite, I think, some of the best sculpt work I have seen on an action figure. Amazing showing of the muscle groups, the face sculpt, and everything. Let me just show the face sculpt because I love how these face sculpts are portrayed in this figure. Now, if we zoom in just a little bit, this is gonna just make it easier for you guys to see the faces in such high definition. As we can see, the face sculpt and paint are immaculate. We see Broly's cut, his frown, little like markings to show like his face, like his cheeks and everything, his brow and everything, and his eyes I believe are sculpted in. I'm not really 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain they are, because if we look at small, Broly is a quite massive figure. I think he's around 8 inches, maybe 10. I'm not 100% sure because I don't have a ruler or I haven't even measured him. But if we look at a normal SHFiguarts face, you can see the faces are pretty flat. But this is a newer figure, but like back then, or like just in general, like older figures do like look nicer. Like, but that Goku just has a weird face. But if we look at the Warrior Awakening Goku, his face is like brows are sculpt. It's just that one has like a chrome, or not a chrome, but like a dome head faceplate. So it is like a little weird on that one, but like the faces aren't really sculpted anymore like that. Or like these, like the 1.0 figures have like sculpted faces. But if we look at Broly's other faces, we got a screaming face. This is like the straight kind of frowning face. But if we get like the screaming face, you can see the detail, like markings, like I think these are called dimples. I'm not 100%. But you can see like the sculpt work on the face is amazing. I love these faces. Like these are some of the best the line has, like I have seen from my collection I have gotten so far. And my favorite face to put on Broly, I'm assuming besides the screaming one, is the smirking face. And sorry if my fingers are covering the whole screen, but the smirking face is just phenomenal. The paint, there's no messy paint, which I think, or at least not to what I'm aware of, what I'm seeing, there's not paint bleeding like with Marvel Legends, for example. Like they have some paint bleed sometimes. And we get my Spider-Man, which I will use for a scale comparison later. You can see the soles of the boots go over. And yes, I know the price ranges are completely different. This Broly is around $80, $85, while the Spider-Man's like $20, $30, which I don't think it's worth that much. I think it should be most $20. And there is 2 sets of hands that Broly comes with: an open palm hand and like a grab hand, like grabbing, like he uses to grab Goku's face in the movie, for example. And this is the grabby hand. Simple. Well, I wouldn't say simple sculpt work, but pretty simple for a hand. Like nothing too crazy. There's not too much to it. You know, it's sculpted fingernails, not painted, which is quite common for these figures in the line. They don't have really painted fingernails. And you can see it looks pretty damn good. And let's get his other hand, the open palm hand, which has indents, just, you know, a normal sculpt. And here's these are two different sides, like one's for the right, one's for the left. But you can see like the sculpt is different. There is a difference. These kind of are more closed. This one's more out and open because, you know, open palm hand. Now let's look back out and let me put Broly's face. Let me put my favorite, my personal favorite face, the smirking face, and look more into the rest of the sculpt of the body. Let's take a first look at the hair, and we're gonna look at paint detail as well. And looking at the hair, I think the hair might have a metallic finish. I'm not 100%. I haven't really looked at other videos, but it does look semi-metallic-y to me personally, like in person. But like on camera, like the shine goes really on it. Like, let's look at another character with metallic-y hair, Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black, which this is a common release. This is not the event exclusive. You can see it has like a metallic finish to it. As to, well, another figure that I'm going to show a lot in this video, Warrior Awakening Goku, has a flat hair sculpt with shading though. And I think this works really well for Broly since his is meant to be a legendary Super Saiyan, which is the green hair, while Super Saiyan's the normal yellow. Even though this is technically Super Saiyan, just because it's Broly, it's green. I don't know what's up with that, but I think the green looks really nice. Like, there's a green consistency throughout it, but we're not talking about the rest of it. We're talking about his hair right now. You can see there's sculpted line work, super sharp. If you're not careful, these are a little more duller, I think, than other figures. But like, for example, I think this Goku, which he doesn't have his face because I showed you the face earlier, this hair will poke you. So be a little careful with the hair on these figures. Like if it's Super Saiyans, for example, because the hair will poke you. And like this hair is a little more like dulled edge, but it still like looks sharp. Like if you look at it, look like it's pointed edges, is what I'm saying. If we look at the sculpting on the chest, we can see it's sculpted really nice. Shows the many different muscle groups, like the traps, the abdomen area, like I can't speak, and the forearms, the upper arms, the biceps, and all that stuff, and the chest. And you can see it's sculpted really nice, and like it works really good with the articulation points, like the ab crunch, will I'll show more in depth later. How the muscles are like cut out, like simplest way to say cut out, are like shown where it works like really well, and it doesn't like ruin the sculpt if you move it. Like if I move these arms forward, like yeah, you're gonna see a little gappage, but that's just how it works. Like the functionality or like the mechanics of the figure. And even then, with it going out, it works. Like it looks good, and everything works for it. Like I think the sculpt work is really good. The only like real problem, which let's be honest is not a major issue, it's not gonna ruin the figure, is the sculpt like of these elbow joints that are shown, which is with literally every Dragon Ball figure. But even then, that's kind of like something to complain about. With a nearly perfect figure, I'll just tell you guys why at the end of the video, why I don't think this is a perfect figure. And if we take a look at the legs, you can see the muscle groups of the legs, like previously stated, with everything else on the body. And he has boots, which are sculpted in ridge details and everything. And he has gauntlets too, which have also like little details like that, where like it shows wrinkles and everything. And the fur skirt, I'm just gonna call it a fur skirt or a skirt. We could see it has like fur detail, because in the movie this is an animal's ear. You're gonna have to watch the movie. I'm not trying to spoil it or anything, but that's just kind of like a mini like character mention thing. Like it's sculpted really nice. And even then, there's articulation for the skirt piece, so it can move up so it doesn't hinder articulation. And how it's cut works really well, because like, you know, this is just like a fold in the clothing, and like it works really good. So I think how this is sculpted is really nice. This is one of the best sculpted figures in the line, I think, personally, besides my all-time favorite Awakening Goku, which we'll have a review on him maybe, I don't know, like soon, sometime soon, but that will be after the FNAF AR wave, which I explained in the intro. But now let's get on to articulation. So if we look at Broly, we can see he has a butterfly joint, which previously mentioned, which goes out that far, which if you move the arm, it does help it a little bit, but even then it doesn't really do much, which is fine. Where it doesn't do much is like kind of an understatement. Like it moves like more than it should, or not more than it should, like it moves enough. Like you can, if you put two open palm hands in an effect, like him shooting it at somebody, then it works really nice. It's good for the purpose. But the only, okay, let's go through the rest of it before I start listing off complaints I have. And he has a upper arm swivel, a double bend at the elbow, wrist rotation all the way around. And one thing with this figure that you're going to hear a lot in this video is the squeaks. There are a lot of squeaks, which I think is the thing that Tamashii did. It might just be with my figure, but it might also just be like the weight of the figure and everything. So that might come into account. But let's get back to the articulation before I start ranting about stuff, which I'll talk more on at the end. His head moves side to side that much, which is limited because of the traps of the shoulders, because he is, if you haven't noticed already, jacked. And he can look down that far, which from a side view, really, like he's almost smelling his own chest. And he can look up that far, which is basically just the neutral position, unless you have it like a little down like how I have it. But the hair kind of prohibits that, and like I said previously, he's jacked. And let's get to the abdomen or ab crunch. This isn't really that good. I think it's good enough, but if you do want to do a modification, I'm not 100% sure, but if this is built similarly to how the other figures are in the line, like previously mentioned already, Warrior Awakening Goku, I did mod him to have an ab crunch. And you could like more of an ab crunch. Like before, you can probably go that max, but now with the mod, he goes that far, which is good for posing. If you don't want to do it, it's not gonna like miss. You're not gonna miss out on much, is what I'm saying. But with this Broly, there's a peg where the torso connects to the waist, so you know you can rotate it. That is also very like loud. Like you're not gonna break it, I don't think, because this is a really big peg. Because it's a big figure. But with the assistance of the bend there, you can bend. Oh, actually, you can bend this way more than I thought. Oh, well, that just shows you that I've only had this for one day. Or actually, if you could see, I haven't really looked at this figure much, but there's two bends here. There's a bend right here, which helps it more. So yeah, he can go really far. I take back what I said about the ab crunch. This moves really good. Or at least really good for the scale, like amazing. Okay, now let's get to the articulation of the legs. There's a waist swivel, which you can do, but I'm not gonna mess with much because like I don't personally use it for this figure. And he can kick up that far, which with the skirt, oh yeah, the skirt is made with a rubber plastic, so that's why he can move like pretty nicely without, you know, breaking. He can kick that far. And if we move the skirt, this is pretty hard to do with limited space. Or not limited space, it's just I'm not trying to hit my face on the camera. You can kick that back that far. You can do a thigh swivel. And then he has a double bend at the knee, which is really nice. And he has an ankle swivel, or ankle swivel, ankle pivot. And like previously shown before, he has a toe bend. So, let's get to my pretty much final thoughts on this figure. And I have to say, this figure is definitely one of my favorites that I do own at the moment. That might change, I don't know, because with the new release of the full power Super Saiyan Goku on Namek, that might change, but we'll have to see when that comes out, which I hopefully will do a review on, but it probably won't not come out until like 2 months after it releases, because you know, in the US it likes to take an extra month to release here in the States without pre-ordering, which personally I don't pre-order them unless it's figures like Kong Studios and Ultra Ego Vegeta, because I will not miss out on it. And my overall thoughts on this figure, if you have the money, definitely spend it on getting him, He is worth it. I wish one thing. If he came with an effect piece. If you're wondering what an effect piece is, if you don't talk like Dragon Ball, you're only watching this to support me, for one, thank you. And this is what an effect piece is. This is from Bitter Awakening Super Saiyan Vegeta. And you can see he comes with them. And he also comes with an aura effect piece. But if we get it with Broly, let's put his arm up. You know, let's give him a little nice pose to show him off for the end until the end of the video. Let's get his grippy hand out, if I can plug it in without using both hands. And put this little peg in it. You can see it looks pretty cool, Broly, if I can get it on there, because of course I can't. But you can see, like, it looks cool with an effect. Like, this kind of effect would have been really cool for Broly. If he came in green, that would have been super nice to come with this Broly. Like, stuff like that, little things really carry a figure like this. Not saying the Sculpt and stuff doesn't enough. It does. Sculpt's amazing. Definitely one of the better figures in the Dragon Ball line. For the price, though, it's worth it in my opinion. But if you don't want to spend like more than $100 on a figure, because, like, you know, with shipping, taxes, and all that junk, well, depending on where you live in the world, then I can see why this wouldn't be that worth it, because, you know, it's an action figure. It's plastic at the end of the day. But me personally, I think this is worth it. I think it's a good price. Wish it came with an effect. That's the only gripe, but even then, effects are kind of coming back a little bit with Dragon Ball figures. Like, past the $60 range, they're coming with effects now. Like, Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta both come with an effect piece, which is really good, and because they're around $60 each. And I just have to say, yeah. So my final thoughts, this is a 9 out of 10 figure, purely because it doesn't come with an effect, and I wish it came with maybe a little more hands, but I don't think he would do much more with hands. Maybe if he had like a teeth grinning face, like, you know, like this Goku, for example, like teeth like that, I think that would also been really cool. Just little stuff like nitpicks. And like if he came with like he had shading on the skirt, or like a dark green wash, like stuff like that would have definitely bumped this figure up to a 10 out of 10. Well, I think it's a 10 out of 10, but also I think it's a 9 out of 10. So it's probably a 9.5 out of 10. In my opinion, I'm changing it as I go, I know, right? But yeah, that's my thoughts on SHFiguarts Full Power Super Saiyan Broly. If you like, share, and subscribe to the channel, that would be amazing. That would be really cool.